Hey folks, it's Fridgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here in Boulder Canyon. I am going to get straight on with the fertilizer spreading, and I'm going to miss a little bit along the top of the field there, because, you know, why not? Why not start off the job badly? Because, yeah. Okay, let's actually tidy that up a little bit. We don't want to do that. We're going to spread fertilizer across this field. I'm going to do around the outside. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go partway around the outside here, and go right round over to that corner, and then I'm going to turn around. I'm going to come back again, following the same route all the way back through, and then when I've done that, I will then move to using hired help on this particular job, and we will go and get our tractor with the seed drill on, and we will start planting in this field. We will start going around the outside doing the planting, which means that I do need to slow the time back down again once I've sort of done this little bit here. And then once we've got the planting done, right, the problem with doing this is when you go around the corner, you always end up leaving bits, and it's a lot easier to do it right there. You always end up sort of missing a little tiny bit, and I've missed a little tiny bit over there as well. I've made a little bit of a mess of that, but it'll be fine. So it's such a small, insignificant amount, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, once, you know, I'm actually looking at this, I'm thinking maybe we only need to do once. No, I will do twice. The reason I'm going to do twice is because then I will have a decent gap around the edge so that I can do a couple passes with the seed drill before I set it going with the land work, which means that we shouldn't have any bits left at the end of the field anywhere. That's kind of what I'm aiming towards. Is to keep it nice and tidy on the ends of the field, all the way through. So then, once I've done this field, the fertilizer will go pretty quickly. That's not going to take very long to do. And then once I've done this field, we will then use the tractor, this tractor and the fertilizer, and we'll go up there and we'll do the grass, because that's only going to need one coat. And then we can park this tractor can go and park up for a bit. We might go and start tidying up some of the stuff in the yard, actually, although I'll have gotten most of that put away with the little electric tractor before we go and do that, before we get this one back. Then while the seed drill is finishing up the last of the seed drilling, we can then go up there and start doing a little bit of tree removal with the tree harvester. I know that there's a load of stumps over there, and I did want to go and do those, but I actually think it's more important to get this crop planted, and then we can start worrying about the next one. So I said that I was going to do wheat, so that is then ready for pigs. We'll have wheat in storage, which we will keep back ready for the pigs. We won't be selling that. And then after that, I'm going to do another round of oats. So we got two more crops coming that are going to do straw. And the reason I want to do that is because one rule I said is that we won't do any two crops in succession. I did do 2 crops of barley to start with, but that was because we were just running some tests. So I'm not going to do that again. We cannot have 2 crops in succession. No matter how badly we may want it, the same field cannot do 2 crops in succession. And I'm gonna that's a solid rule that we will follow. So then, really, we're sort of, well, what do I do? Because oats, I can't sell the ones that I've got at the moment because I don't have a full 45,000 litre quota. So I got to get that above 45,000. The full round of oats in the field means that if we do one more lot, we can do a full 45,000. And then we've got the rest we'll be able to sell as well. So we can sell the whole lot. And that means that that's a nice bit of profit that we'll be able to get, so long as the prices are right when we come to actually selling them. And then we'll be able to take all of that money that we get from that, and that can be invested into either the cattle and pig pens that we want to buy, or actually buying cows. Cows are what we're going to buy first, before we go buying pigs. But we will end up buying both. Well, obviously, we've got to end up buying both of them because we don't have. That's one of the conditions for winning. Is we've got to have a large pen of each, large pen of everything. The sheep down there, they're doing well. probably won't go and buy any more at this point. I know I have already bought a few extra sheep and put that in so that we've got more money coming in from them, but I'm kind of thinking now at this point that we don't need to go buying any extras. I mean, yes, it would be quite cool to buy a few more, because it's just going to speed that up a little bit, but the sooner we get to a full sheep pen, the sooner we're going to need to be buying an additional sheep pen, and I'd kind of rather get the cattle and pigs at least established to start with, and then once they've been established, once we've got the cattle and the pigs there and ready to go, then we can start working on some other bits. We can start working on extra sheep for extra money, so that then when we've got the extra, when we got 2 pens full of sheep, the money that we get from the wool and from selling the extra sheep, we'll be able to reinvest that into buying more cows and more pigs, because those are going to take a while to build up. They're very expensive to buy to start with, and then it can take a while to sort of build up their numbers. However, I'm confident that we will, once we get the pig pen and the cattle pen bought and established, I'm confident that we will actually reach full pens pretty quickly. I don't think it's going to take that long before we've actually got completely full pens of pigs and cattle. I think that, like, once we get to that point where we've started heading down that road, the final stages are going to be pretty quick. We're going to end up completing everything that we want to complete here in a rather short space of time. I think it's going to surprise us all, actually. Ooh, great demand at universal selling. What have we got a great demand for? I don't think I've seen a great demand on here before. Right, well, whatever I got a great demand for is not showing up on here. Unless it's showing up, but it's not showing up with the blue thingy. 2,400 for eggs right there. We keep an eye on that. That's not changed, and straw hasn't changed either. And then we look up over here. Beans we're keeping back for the pigs. Oats are already dropping. We're going to be... They've got to be above 1,000. Barley we will keep. We know that this does go above 500. I think it may even go above 600 for wheat. Although we won't be selling that. That's being kept back for pigs. And corn. Corn is the big one. We've got to buy a lot of corn. If we're not able to buy corn, we can't do anything that we want to do. That's going to make life a little bit more difficult. Now, I'm going to just follow this one down. I'm going to set the hired help going here, like this. Probably a little bit close to the... that is almost definitely a little bit too close to the side. So we'll move back over here, a tractor's width, like that. And we will do that again. That's better. And we'll run that one down. I'm going to just follow it down through because sometimes it is inclined to turn the wrong way. It may decide to turn the other way because that field is close enough there that it's not just going to shut off. It's a spreader's width away from the tractor, so it may decide to move straight into the grass field. I'd rather it didn't do that. I don't want it moving into the grass field. I want it to turn to the right rather than turning to the left. So as long as it does that, then we can zip back over to the yard. We can jump into our tractor over there. What we will do is we will clean and repair that baler, and we will put it away. And then once we've done that, it doesn't look like he's planning... What is he doing? He's going to reverse all the way up to the other end of the field, or something equally daft. Does this sometimes, doesn't it? And now which way? Why are you doing that? Is there an invisible stump under there? Is that why it's doing it? Right. There may be a stump still under there. It may be that there's a stump 300 yards over there that it's seen and decided it doesn't like. So it's acting a bit like a horse that's scared of its own shadow when it's trying to walk along the road. At this point, it could be anything. But anyway, we're done there. We don't need to worry about that. Let's go and get some cleaning done. So we will hose this bad boy down. And then we'll get this one put away in the shed. So that's completely done with. We don't need the baler now until next season. And We'll clean off and repair the tractor as well. Then we can get the seed drill hooked up, get that one going, and we will get the wheat being planted in the fields. I did say in last episode, I think it'd probably be better if we were planting something like canola or possibly even more soybeans. However, I do think that as far as like a proper rotation is concerned, going from oats into wheat is a bit of an unusual choice. But we can allow a little bit of license on that, I think. I think we can allow a little bit of license on that, because it's unusual, but it's definitely not completely unheard of. You do normally have some fairly standard kinds of rotations, and wheat is one that a lot of farmers, well, certainly in my country, a lot of farmers will do whatever they can with the rotation to give wheat the biggest bonus. There are other crops that people like to have do well, but wheat is generally the one that they sort of focus on trying to get the biggest and the best bonus out of them. Now, you've got 77 in there, but we've got nothing in that one. That one's got 4,600. 3.1. Those little presents that we've got there. By the way, if you'd like those presents, you need to ooh, we've actually got 3 of them have got some stuff on. If you want those presents, you need to join our Discord. There is a link in the description down below, and you'll be able to follow that to it's a YouTube, it's another video, and then the link is on the video. Yeah, if you'd like those presents, which are egg boxes, they were made by Patrio Gracemark, who is a administrator on our Discord, and he has not released them anywhere else. He's only released them on the Discord. So if you would like them, you are welcome to come and get them. They are on there. There is a link. He's provided a link for people to use. However, he's decided not to go and release them elsewhere. Now, we'll repair that baler. We didn't repair the baler last time around, I don't think. And that one there. Right. Jump in here. So yeah, if you'd like the presents, they work as just regular egg boxes, but they've got 150,000 litre capacity, so they've got very, very high capacity. Then you simply join the Discord, and they will be there ready and available for you to use. You could edit them, like editing the volume of a box like that is actually fairly straightforward. So if 150,000 was a little bit too high for you, you can simply go into the XML and alter it down to something slightly smaller. However, I'm leaving it. I know that they're unrealistic with the 150,000 litres. I'm leaving them, though. I'm not going to change those, mainly because in order to be able to move them, I don't think any autoloader is going to pick them up. I don't think they're sort of registered as anything else. They may be classed as pallets, so it might be that a pallet autoloader will recognize them, but I don't know. I haven't actually asked that question, and I haven't checked it yet, either on here with our autoload trailer. So we will have a look at that. But it might be that we can't go and pick them up like that. In which case, we will just we'll leave them and we'll sort of see what comes. We'll see what happens with it. I'll bring that one back round. Yeah, likely I will just pick them up by hand one at a time and run them round onto the sell point. Shouldn't be too difficult. Now, I need to change this over. We want oats on here this time. Not oats, wheat. We had oats. We want wheat this time. And we will take this one over this way. Over to the seed tank over on this side, and we will load this one up. I will also go and get some fuel as I'm here. Otherwise, I will end up forgetting. Is that loading? That's not loading. It's not close enough. And you've got to get really, really close to these tanks. Some seed drills, you can't actually get close enough to the tanks. And it's a bit of a nuisance. Not many, though. I have had a couple of seed drills where I've just not been able to get close enough to those tanks to be able to load them. Or I've really, really genuinely struggled to get them close enough to load. And it's slightly frustrating, to say the least. Now, we won't need very much money spent on this bit. Let's get that bit into there. There we go, right. $157 worth of fuel. Now I can back you round like this. Jackknifing it, just almost jackknifed it. I didn't quite, just almost. And then I'm going to start this one over on this corner right here, and I'm going to probably end up doing, well, at least twice around the field, possibly even 3 times around the field. And then we will let the hired help carry on and finish off this task while we go and set the fertilizer spinner going. Now, it's coming up that way. I'll just let it do its turn. I don't know how far it's going to go up. I will do that. You can come on up here. Turn round. How far is he going to go? He's going to stop here. Decide he doesn't like me. Oh, no. Genuinely thought he was going to drive up to me and then say, hired help can't continue. It just cannot cope with this any longer. It's too much pressure. Because something slightly unexpected has occurred. But nope, it didn't do that. It's gone all the way up there. It's not... Is it spreading yet? Why did you drive all the way up there and then wait until you got to that point before you started spreading? Not sure about that. But we'll let him... He's doing his job, so we'll let him carry on. We won't question it. Looks like he's actually put fertilizer everywhere he's supposed to put fertilizer. It doesn't look like there's any bits missing fertilizer, which is quite an important part of this. Spreading fertilizer. Getting all of the stuff onto the field. As long as it's got most of it there, we're alright. Like the tiny little spots here and there missed, I don't mind. It's something that I've kind of gotten used to. I mean, I still don't really like it. It's something that does bug me a little bit, but it's the kind of thing that I've sort of started to get used to, just a little bit. However, there are times when it still does really get to me when there's little spots. So I will, some days I will go and gather up every single tiny little speck of a field and make sure it's fertilized or seed drilled or sprayed or whatever. And other times I will leave the little tiny spots everywhere and just ignore them and pretend they're not there. It does really depend. Like that genuinely changes from day to day. That there is no... There's never any in between. I'm never sort of halfway on that one. It's either I can completely ignore it and I am able to shut it out, or I've got to just go around and clean them all up, because otherwise, no, it's going to really irritate me. And it will. I will think about it for the rest of the day, and it will bug me that much that at some point... I haven't done it for a while, admittedly, but I have in the past. It's bugged me that much that I've actually, several hours later, logged back into the game just to go and get those few little specks, because they've irritated me that much, and then logged back out again and left it. Right, I deliberately did it like that, so that I would push the sign a little bit more out of the way. I was hoping that it wouldn't end up on top of the seed drill again. That one sign right there... Like the others have got no collision on them. They don't exist. Right? They're just invisible entities. And oh, he has missed a bit. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Tut. This is unacceptable behaviour. He's got that tiny speck over there that he's actually going to turn around and he's going to go and get. But that long strip, it went left behind. Sometimes I do wonder what goes on between the ears of the hired help. Right, you do have to ask the question, what is going on in between your ears? I don't think there's a lot, to be honest. I think mostly it's just the empty void staring back out at the world. Right, they say that eyes are the windows to the soul and that you can see all sorts of things when you look through the eyes. Honestly, I think a lot of the time with our hired help... Ooh, I do need to slow time down again. Honestly, I think a lot of the time with our hired help that you're not looking through and finding the vast answers to the universe in behind those, in through those eyes. You're just looking through into the void. That is all you will see is the void and nothing more. Just deep, dark, eternal empty space. That is it. That is all you will find located between the ears of the hired help. Yeah. Right, what I'm going to do is I will take this one over and we will load it up with fertilizer, but I'm going to leave it in the yard so that I can keep going with the outside rounds on the field for the crop, for the wheat. And then once I've got the hired help going on the wheat, then I will take this fertilizer spinner, we will go back over to the grass field and we will finish doing the grass. So I want to take the cover off and lower it down and fill that one up. Like that, and then I will put the cover back on, and I will leave it like that. Right, you are done. Let's go running back over to that one. I should have reversed. There we go. And we will carry on up across the field. So the road sign finally came off. That's just fine by me. We can leave it down there. Casualty of progress. That's what it is. Casualty of our progress on and around the fields. Yeah, bring you up over this way a bit, and round we go. Now, the next thing that we're going to want to do... well, I've sort of been talking about the next things, like the pigs and the cows and everything, but I've been thinking, like, pigs, we're going to want to put them down over here, and I think we've got enough space to put them close to that bit over there, so I don't think we're going to need to do too much work with landscaping or anything like that. However, what we are going to want to do is quite a bit of work up the top, up there, with the cattle pen, because it's really, really uneven ground. So we're going to end up, what I was thinking is, like, doing a lot of leveling work up there, smoothing it out, and I'm not talking about massive landscaping where we sort of fill up the entire gully. We'll put the cattle pen higher up the side of the hill, so it's not right down in the bottom of the gully. That would be really, really daft. You wouldn't put your cattle pen down in the bottom of a gully, because every time the heavens opened up and dumped a load of rain down, your cows would be waist deep in water. Don't really want that. Don't really want swimming cows. We'd like our cows to be able to stay relatively dry even when it's raining. So therefore, what we will need to do is they've got to be at least halfway up the side of the hill. But what we'll need to do once we've done that is we're going to have to put in a number of tracks around the pen so that we're able to access them nice and easy, and we can feed them and all the rest of it. The problem with that is it does cost a lot of money. So I'm not sure how much money we're going to need in order to be able to not only get the cattle pen installed, but do all the other work that's going to be needed as well. The thing with installing it is that it's got a base rate cost. Well then, if you go and install it on the side of a hill, it's going to end up costing considerably more than that. And we know how that works, but if I look in here, the cattle pen, the large cattle pen right there is 300,000. Now, if we're putting that up there on the side of a steep hill, I'll just demonstrate that. We can do that with the large chicken pen. Like, the large cattle pen is bigger than this. But if I bring up the money right there, okay, it's 40,000 base rate, which you can see it's staying at 40 until I go, there's 50 up there on that top bit. And kind of, we're either going to want it here somewhere or up over on here somewhere. And I'm actually thinking it would be better over here. This side, like the edge of our field is going to go right along there. It's actually going to come, well, it's going to come over to where the rock is. But, yeah, like I've either got to have a straight line along here with that rock sort of being taken into account, or we're going to be using up a big area up here. We'll go right up here and bring that along, and then we'll come out to about this area, and we will move down that way, and then it will be an L-shaped field, kind of like the one that we got over here, and come straight across here. So this area here will be for the cows. I won't need any more space than that. So all of this over here, we will turn that into usable field. So this side, while it would be good, and it's definitely cheaper, it's not the one that we're going to want. We are going to want our cattle pen to be over here. Now that gully over there, has this been done in a natural way, or this is what I'm looking at? Because you wouldn't naturally have, like that gully comes down from this way as well. Right? That's not a natural feature there. If the, like, you look at the landscape here, I know it's, most maps you will get this. It's like natural terrain features sometimes missing, And that is a natural terrain feature there that you wouldn't normally find. That would be unusual to find. Or maybe you do. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is a strong possibility that you could have a natural terrain feature like this, but it's running downhill from there into here, and it's running downhill from this side into there as well. The amount of land that is there, right, this dip here has been here for a very, very long time. The formation of land takes a long, long time. So that much of a dip strikes me as being unusual. I'd be surprised if that was an actual thing. So this down here would be, if this was the case, if it had actually formed like this over many thousands of years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years that formed into this, that would be a bog. Right in there, you'd be looking at a bog right there, unless there's some very unusual sort of pattern with rock formation and everything underneath, which is allowing the water to drain naturally. But, I mean, maybe in this part of the world that would be a little bit more usual, but where I live, you wouldn't find things like that. That would just be a swamp in there. This whole thing, all the way up through, this would be a swamp. But we tend to have a more impervious bedrock, so maybe water is able to drain out through there naturally. Still going to be wet. Down there, it's still going to be soaking wet, so you can't sort of... We have to be above the water there. And because there's no natural drainage, we have to assume that when it hoofs it down with rain, this turns into a large pond. So we need to be above that with the cows. So we would have to put the cows right up here somewhere. Now, that pen there costs 40 grand. I'm putting it here so it's above the level of that bog, that pond that would naturally form when it rains heavily. And I'm looking at nearly double the price. Right? No, more than. Crumbs. That's the 40,000. I'm looking at 2.5 times the price. If the same thing happens with the cattle pen, we're going to be looking at $600,000 just to put the cattle pen down. Which means that we may need to actually do the landscaping before we put the cattle pen down. Even then, I don't know. Because if I drop it in there, that's double down there. And over this side, that's a lot cheaper over there. Like, the difference in price is phenomenal, isn't it? Maybe it would actually, like, the amount of, I mean, if it is that much when we're up here with a cattle pen and we're looking at 600,000-700,000 to get the cattle pen put down up there, thinking that perhaps it might be worth sacrificing some potential field over here and putting it down here, it's a little bit lower. It might also be that we have to dig some drainage channels out this way, maybe around the rock there, or we have to dig a drainage channel from here going that way so the water naturally flows out across the field. Not ideal sending your water running out into our field down here, but it's still better than having a pond form here, even if it's just temporarily, and that will allow for a bit more of the drainage. So anyway, that's thoughts that I've been having up there with that. I've been thinking about this a little bit, and like, how is the water going to be draining out? And I didn't realize that it was a natural sort of water trap up there. So that's really adding to our difficulties. We can't go and drop it right down in the bottom of that gully. That's not something that you would do. Otherwise, like, as soon as you, even if the water is able to, like, granted, it may not be a natural swamp there, and the water may be able to drain away. But if you get heavy rain, the water is not going to soak away down through that soil as fast as the water is turning up. Therefore, your cows are going to be sitting in a pond if you put them at the bottom of it. You can't do that. So we cannot put them at the bottom of a gully there. We've got to do something different. So we've either got to go up the hill on one side, where it's really expensive, or we've got to go on the hill on the other side, where it's a little bit lower, possibly sort of going into the space that we want to use elsewhere. And if we're to be able to get tracks to access it all properly anyway, we're still got to be looking at drainage. These are all serious concerns. I'm not quite sure how we're going to handle that, but I'd be very, very interested in hearing your feedback on the subject. I do really enjoy reading the feedback I get on some of these. I know that by the end of the week I don't normally reply to very many, because this goes live on a Saturday, so I don't tend to reply to many comments over the weekend. But I do still read them. I do still see them. I do read them. And it's always interesting seeing different people's take on how I should be doing things, so that we're sort of sticking with realism, because that's the point of this series, is that we are supposed to be sticking to realism, and it's supposed to be hardcore. Like, other than autoloads and stuff like that, I do try to do this as realistic as we possibly can. But yeah, we've talked about autoloads many times, so I don't need to go and explain that yet again. I think that we'll just do twice around this field. I don't think we need to do more than that. Also because we're running out of time. I'm going to fold that one up a minute. And I'm going to go and reload the seed, because I'm not sure that I've got it. I probably won't have enough to finish the field anyway, even after we reload it. But we can try. So I'll bring you over this side, and I will bring you right up there like that. And reload. There we go. Nice and easy. And then we will head over to the other side of the field. And I will start doing it from there. So I reckon in front of that rock, we're probably not going to quite fill up everything. But that'll be fine. We'll start running it down this side. And then once I've done that... Well, we're actually going to have to say fairly well for now. We've just about run out of time on this episode. And then we will come back and we will do our fertilizer spreading up there. And the rest of the seed drilling will be done beginning of next week. So yeah, I would very much like to hear your thoughts and opinions on what we do with those cows, building them up there. It may be that you think that's not the best location for them, because the reason I wanted to put them up there was because that they were away from the farm, and it was basically a game mechanic to help fight back the lag a little bit. I'm bringing the pigs down here at the farm so that we're close to the grain store. But I was thinking of having a shed and putting the cows up there out of the way a little bit. But I mean, I could... It might be that the lay of the land up there isn't suitable for what we want. It just doesn't really work for what we want. In which case, we'll leave the field up there exactly as it is, and we'll end up extending that field out. The rock in the middle of the field there will end up staying where it is, and it will sort of be in the middle of our massive great big grass field, and we put the cows down there, because despite the fact that that is all flat land down there and it does look a bit of a floodplain, there isn't a natural stream that runs down through there, right? All the way down through there, that is floodplain kind of level, right the way through, all the way through this valley. It's floodplain level. However, the actual level of the river over in there is a lot lower, so you do get some runoff here, but not so much that it causes... there's not so much runoff coming into here that the stream... that there's a river forming. If we go and take a look at the map... Right, you've got some natural runoff coming here, but this is just surface runoff that goes into this river. And then the other sort of contours, they end up going into that river anyway. So you've got the big river, but that's down in a deep gully down here. It's quite low. The chances of having sitting water flooding on this plain here, very remote. Now, you've got mountains there with snow and ice on them. So, I don't know. Is there a snow line in the Rocky Mountains in the US? Are they got a snow line where you've got permanent snow above a set height? Or do the entire Rockies thaw out in the summer? Because I don't know about that. Some mountains have got a snow line where above that point it stays below freezing all year round. Others do not have it. I don't know about the Rocky Mountains, because I'm sort of assuming this is somewhere around the Rocky Mountains maybe. We're certainly up high up here, and so it's entirely possible that the landscape here was formed a few 100,000 years ago by glaciation, and now that it's sort of retreated, you've got these natural gullies. I mean, landscape is formed by all sorts of different things, and I'm looking at this mountain over here, and I'm sort of thinking that maybe, just maybe, that's why we've got all of this land, like the way that it's level here in this gully down here. And there's no stream at all down here. It's because of glaciers in a long time past. That is entirely possible. We know that most of North America was covered in ice at one point. So, yeah, it's not out of this world to think that maybe this was all formed by ice grinding along. And then it's retreated. So we've got no natural stream that runs down through here. And that means that it's highly unlikely that you're going to get serious flooding here. Because the water, because of the river diverting up here, you're only going to get natural water runoff in this area that's going to run down that way or soak into the ground. And then you've got the stream, the river over here. The fact that there is no natural stream down here does suggest that the ground here is fairly porous, which in turn goes back up to that bit up there, which is why maybe that isn't... I mean, it's probably soft ground up there, but it's why there's not a natural sort of bog area up there, because of the porous ground. So it does sort of fit together with that. But anyway, I'm almost definitely overthinking this because it's a map in a game, and I very much doubt that it's actually a real-life print of anywhere. It could be, I could be wrong, this could be properly contoured print of somewhere, but I'm suspecting it's not. Anyway, I have run out of time, and then I've gone over time because I've been rambling. So if you enjoyed the episode, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.